بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا بالقاسم محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن حسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنهم والزكاة وتمتعه فيها جميلا برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين صلوات My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I pray that everyone is well. We are now on the 8th night within the camp of Aba Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam. The 8th night is attributed or dedicated to that soldier in Karbala that would make enemies cry with his dry and solid tongue. That soldier is none other than Ali al-Asghar. And inshallah, we carry on yesterday's majlis with your inshallah, and we request that you join me in reciting salawat. Today I want to look at a question that a lot of us have. Often growing up, listening to lectures like these, you get told that dunya is a very bad thing. We get told that leave the world because the world is not worth living. Become alive through death, sometimes we get told. What is the Islamic perspective on such a view? What is Islam's opinion, or the opinion of the A'imma, or Allah's direction in regards to dunya? Often when we use the term dunya in our languages, it means someone that has become materialistic, someone that is attached to the world. I have a phone, I might be attached to the phone, which then makes me what? Dunyadar, worldly person. But what did Fatima sallallahu alayhi say? And what did the A'imma say? Yesterday we talked about the first half of this discussion. The first half of the discussion was to understand what is deen, what is religion. We said religion lexically, with its linguistical meaning, it falls into three different words that all together combined give you the true meaning of what it means to believe in deen or to believe within religion. One was obedience, the second was reward, the third was subjugation. We talked an entire night about what it means to be obedient to. We established, for those people that were not here yesterday, we established that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declares for us a certain obedience. That obedience is first to Allah, then His Rasul, then to Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. And when it comes to reward, then the reward is not given by anyone except by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then subjugation. Who do you become controlled by? Who are you controlled by? Within our day-to-day lives, we looked at this very deeply, and we found that ultimate control only and only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To the extent where Abu Abdullah himself within Karbala, he becomes the soldier of Allah on earth to such an extent where he's able to give everything in the way of Allah, becoming one with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the name of Abu Abdullah. That is what it means to become Husayni. So now we have a problem, because the problem is here in the second part of what I want to say. Often, you as human beings, young boys, and even sometimes we tell our wives as well, you know, if the wife wants some gold, you say to her, stop becoming materialistic. It's not that I can't afford it, but it's just why you become materialistic. Sometimes we say that to the missus. Why? Because we want to sway her from the worldly things, not doubting the intention behind things. But sometimes when you swerve someone away from the worldly things, or you tell your son, for example, you can't have a PS5, are worldly things really bad? To become a person of the world, is it really that bad? Imam Hussein alayhi salam with a loud salawat says he says, Mawtun fi izzin hayrun khayrun min hayatin fi dhullin. He says that death with honor is better than life with humiliation. That death with honor is better than living a life of dishonor. What does that mean? There's some tafsir we to hear when it comes to Abu Abdullah. Abu Abdullah says one sentence. By Allah, you can read a whole lecture series on just one sentence of Abu Abdullah. Otherwise, he wouldn't be Imam al-Hussein. He is the one that is the son of the gate to the city of knowledge. He is the one that is the leader of the youth of paradise. He is the one who Rasulullah calls him his son. And who is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi? He is that person that says he is Madinatul Ilm. He is the city of knowledge. So when the stanza comes from Imam Hussein, when only one line comes from Abu Abdullah, the tafsir requires an entire night to speak about this same stanza he talks about. What does he really mean by this? With a loud support. Just recite another loud support. So often, dunya itself requires a special tool to navigate. Dunya is like a sea, an ocean. You know the difference between the dunya and the akhirah? The levels you can achieve within dunya allows you to become Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi within a moment. Within dunya, if you use dunya as a tool correctly, you can become Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi within a matter of moments. These stations, when we go to the akhirah, what is akhirah? The next life. When we go to the next life, in reality, this station is not so easy to achieve. It takes thousands and thousands, if not millions of years. We get told about these distances, that for example, if someone makes some sort of sin, that in some riwayah it tells them that they will not even be able to smell the fragrances of paradise. That's how far away they will be. What about the one like Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi in Karbala, who in reality was within Yazid's camp? He was in his camp, yes, no? He was. But in reality, it is a transformation of a minute of contemplation. This is why Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini says, and he quotes this within his 40 ahadith, his collection of 40 hadith. He narrates this hadith about contemplation. He says a minute of doing tafakkur, of contemplating, is better than 1,000 years of worship. Because why? When you contemplate, you become Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. And one can never ever dispute that we are in the position of Hur. How many of us have done so many sins from last Muharram till now? Allah knows best what sins we've done. But you've come to the majlis that allows you to come and get forgiveness by the shifa of who? By the intercession of who? By the intercession of Abbas, who has no arms. That Abbas makes dua for us using his wings. Within a matter of rationally thinking about religion, about truly contemplating about religion, you can become someone that was from maybe Jahannami to become Jannati. It's a bit like looking at yourself in a markup. Where do I see myself in the street location? We ourselves are in control of looking at where we are right now. And it's scary. Truly think about where do you stand in the ratio of heaven and hell. My amal, is my amal that of Husseini, or is my amal that of Yazidi? Why? Because Hussein himself says when the first option came to him to give bay'ah, oh Hussein, give bay'ah to Yazid. What did Hussein say? He says, someone like me shall never give his hand in allegiance to someone like Yazid. The exact words of someone like him. Conceptual understanding. Yazid represents evil. Imam Hussein represents goodness. Imam Hussein represents Hizbullah, and the Yazid La'in represents Hizbul Shaitan. We talked about this yesterday. For those that are new, let me explain for you. In the Quran, you always have this talk about two parties fighting against each other. But Allah says within the Holy Quran, the true victor is the one that is with truth. Why? Because truth is with Hizbullah, the party of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and yet falsehood is with the party of Shaitan, the supporters of Shaitan. In reality, look at yourself in relation to Karbala. Where are we in relation to Karbala? Are you with Hussein or are you against Hussein? You cannot be in between. In terms of your dunya, it's the same thing. It's the reason why Allah gives you an advice within the Holy Quran with the loud salawat. Allah says that falsehood has come to perish, to become extinct, whereas truth, haqq, has come to stay. So when you look in reality, who do you want to align yourself with? When you look at Abdullah, here's the question. It's over 1,000 years ago maybe that Imam Hussein gave his life to save Islam. But why is he still alive? Because Imam Hussein aligns himself with haqq. Why is this prerequisite of conversation very important? Why is it that the muqaddimah of this conversation is so important? The introductory of this conversation is so important. Because I can only talk about dunya if you understand what it means to rationalize. If you don't understand what it means to truly think and contemplate and do tafakkur, Allah mentions within the Holy Quran so many times, again and again, be one of those that are of the contemplators, those that are always thinking. Here is an active thinking. The active thinking makes you Husseini. Active thinking makes you like Abbas, that when he loses his arms, he starts to convince himself. He loses his right arm and he says, oh Abbas, don't fall. Think about Hussein. He loses his left arm and he realizes he's going to die. He says, get ready, O Abbas, to meet Rasulullah. Never did he doubt for a second. The person that never doubts for a second, his name is Abbas. Are you with me? Everyone with me? So let's talk a bit about dunya, right? We have things that are very good within dunya. Dunya is something like everything in life. I can use this podium to teach you something that would please me, but maybe not please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. True? Does that now mean that the podium is bad? Does that now mean the table is bad or the mic is bad? No, the user becomes bad. Here's an answer for all those people that say Muslims should apologize because of vices. Here's my message to you. Why should I apologize for terrorists that were never Muslim in the first place? They don't represent me, nor do they represent my Prophet, they represent my Imam. Imam al-Hussein fought the terrorists, and that he said that someone like me, ya'ni a Muslim, will never ever give his hand in the allegiance to who? A zalim. Who is the zalim? Yazid La'in. If you do zulm and you commit atrocities like ISIS have done, you can never be a Husseini. You can never be a Muslim. Abu Abdullah is teaching us within his one stanza that in reality any terrorist group that comes, they can never be associated with Islam. Because he wanted to teach us Islam's other name is Fatima. Why? Because Fatima is Sayyidatul Tahira. She is the mistress or the female master of every single pure woman or pure thing within the world. And her son is Imam Hussein. And it's associated with Bibi Fatima. Why? Because Allah says in Quran, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. That Ya Rasul, surely we have blessed you, given you, atta. We did atta on you. What Ya Rasulullah? You atta Fatima Sayyidatul Tahir. That is Bibi Fatima sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Are you with me? There we have our answer. Remember, within Karbala, I've said this many nights before, Karbala is the training camp. Karbala, if Baghdad was the city of wisdom or the city of knowledge, that at a time, whenever you wanted to gain whatever ilm you wanted, science, biology, whatever you wanted to gain, there was a time where the people used to go to Baghdad. Why? Because Baghdad was known as the city of hikmah. Let me tell you the original city of hikmah, the original house of hikmah is first Rasulullah. The door is who? Amir al-Mu'mineen Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. After that, what is the biggest lesson of hikmah you get? The biggest lesson of hikmah is from the actions of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Why? Because it was very easy for Aba Abdullah to give his hand in the hand of Yazid, La'in. But does he do that? No. He could have saved his entire life. He could have saved his 6-month-old baby Ali al-Asghar. But why did he give his life? To teach you and me that when you have Allah, you can live forever by being fi sabilillah, giving your entire existence in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He taught us it becomes wajib at a time when Islam needs you, you need to stand up for that. Therefore, I salute the shuhada who defend the shrine of Bibi Zainab sallallahu alayha. On my way here, one of my friends called me. He told me there was a bomb that went off in Syria near the shrine of Bibi Zainab sallallahu alayha. I like to say to Bibi Zainab, I'm truly ashamed that I was not there to defend you. But wallah, our praise are with those that defend you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase those that have become shaheed today, inshallah, with the loud salawat. Allah. So when you look at dunya is a springboard in its reality. Dunya, those people that do gymnastics, they'll understand what a springboard is. The springboard is used to be able to allow you to jump higher. The dunya allows you to jump higher. Allah wants to show you off. When you get up for Salatul Layl, Allah looks at His angels and tells His angels, look at my Abd, he's praying me in the night, praying to me in the night while everyone else is asleep. Dunya was bad, where else are you going to show off like this? Allah says through the words of Rasulullah that the house in which the Quran is being read shines like light. How does it shine? The angels see you in the heaven like we see the stars. Dunya was bad. According to who? Why are we being taught these things? Dunya was never bad. It's all about the application of how you apply the dunya. Here's the thing. Whatever you do in life for your akhirah, in your akhirah you have no choice. In the world you have a choice. Our fundamental principle is the thing that would allow us to truly understand the question and truly answer it. Why? Because when your center point is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can never be led away. Be that even if someone like Yazid comes in front of you, or someone like Bani Abbas. The truth is that whatever the opponent be, when you become empowered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every single tool is at your disposal in the most beautiful of ways. I have a qalam. Allah swears by the qalam. The same qalam that Allah swears by can be used to write a book to spread knowledge, or it can be used to write a book to spread fasad. It's all about application, my brothers. The same clothing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed people to sew clothes. He can sew a clothes that is befitting of one's hijab. Hijab here is not just for women, it's also for men. We have to cover ourselves. Very important point. But the same tailor that is stitching clothes, he can stitch a cloth that is befitting of you reading salah. Why do I say reading salah? There's so many people, they read salah, what do you see them do? They're putting up their trousers because it's sometimes hanging halfway down. If your clothes are not befitting for you to wear in salah, then start buying some new clothes, my brother. Because why? Everything you do should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I'm not able to pray confidently in those same clothes, I won't come in front of my father, my mother, or anyone I honor with those same clothes. Then what about going in front of the one that made me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Surely I should be dressed best, I should be smelling the best, I should be, when we go to an interview, you go in front of the mirror, you look at yourself, am I looking nice? If you have some stubble, you start to shape up your beard, then you start to have a shower. If you start smelling, but you're going to go the extra mile. It's not just going to be soap, it's also going to be a fragrance soap, what you call a shower gel. Yes, we also have a shower gel that we'll use. Then shampoos, mashallah, going to be head and shoulders. Yeah. When it comes to Allah, where is your head and shoulders? When it comes to Allah, where is your shower gel that smells nice? Where is your spray that you're going to spray on to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When it comes to meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're so lazy. This is when dunya becomes bad for us. It's not that the dunya has become bad. It's my lens that I'm using that's become faulty. I need a new prescription in my glasses. Why? Because when my prescription is not allowing me to see that everything is a reflection of Allah's mercy and Allah's Ism Azam, then in reality my lens is faulty. Hence why when we were speaking as well in between salah, sometimes we've been speaking about ahkam, about hukm that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even ahkam can become dunyadar for the person or materialistic for the person that doesn't make Allah his centric value, his most center value, his most basic principle is that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember in the first few lectures we were talking about what? Science and religion. We talked as well about Allah being Khaliq. We talked about Malakiyya. Yeah? Allah being the ownership of everything. We talked about purpose, right? In terms of deen itself. When you look at all these things, if these are not your most core values, then we have no right to be sitting in the majlis, representing the one who stuck to core values. Abu Abdullah is the one that guides us to these core values. Abu Abdullah, this is why the majlis is very important. This is why even the angels, thousands and thousands of them, they line up and they ask Allah what? To come and sit inside the majlis of Abu Abdullah. Do you remember the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? He says, and that the Ahlul Bayt are Safinatul Nijah. That the Ahlul Bayt are the ark of salvation. And the fastest amongst the Ahlul Bayt is the ark of Abu Abdullah, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. You know, if you want to test how you're mu'min, sometimes we get the formula that if the person hates Amir al-Mu'mineen, then he can never be mu'min and he cannot be of legitimate birth. Yes? But let me give you a new marker. You want to test if someone is mu'min, then see within his heart does the flame of Abu Abdullah's grief burn inside his heart? Because if his heart burns for Abu Abdullah's grief, if it truly hurts in grief of Abu Abdullah, then no, Rasulullah says that inside the heart of the mu'min is a fire that burns in love and grief of Abu Abdullah, and it shall never be extinguished until Yawm al-Qiyamah when he sees vengeance for Abu Abdullah. This is the true meaning. Why? Because when we look at Islam and Abu Abdullah, everything is guiding you, even in terms of the answer of this. Let me give you a few ayahs from the Dua Kumail. We read, don't we? وَبِقُوَّتِكَ الَّتِي قَهَرْتَ بِهَا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Everything is under the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be that dunya or akhirah. Whether you like to admit it or not, even people complain about it under the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why are you worried that the dunya will be bad for us? Only be worried when your centric value, your lens is incorrect. Because when you're not watching and you're not truly looking in the right way about Islam, truly able to see the fitrah of Islam, that the fitrah of Islam is only and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then of course you will be misled. Whatever it be. Remember, Abu Abdullah comes in front of Shimar. He tells him, "Oh Shimar, do you not remember what Rasulullah said? He says that me and my brother Hassan are the leaders of the youth of paradise." Do you know what Shimar turns around and says? He says, "Oh Hussein, if this is true, then I only worship Allah by name." And then Zuhair ibn Qayn al-Bajali turns around and says to him that surely what you've said is haq, is true. When your centric value is not Allah, then even the Imam of your time cannot convince you. It's a dangerous position to be in. Is dunya bad? It's only bad for those people that don't truly understand the mission of Abu Abdullah. Mission of Abu Abdullah is to take you to do yurja, to do raju. We love this when it comes to taqleed discussion, because some people say, I do raju to many scholars. When Imam Hussein makes you do raju, he makes you do raju to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the reason why in between sujood and the two sujoods you have tashahhud. Within tashahhud, what do you read? Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu alayh. Oh Allah, I seek your forgiveness and I turn back to you, Ya Allah. Allah says in the Holy Quran that run away to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? If you're so soaked in sin, there's no way you can run away to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah commands you to run away to Him, then Allah is the one that will also accept you. Allah doesn't command something that He will not do with open arms for you. I'm not saying Allah has arms and Allah just out there before someone says that. I'm not saying Allah has arms. It's a figure of speech. It's metaphorical. Allah welcomes you. You just need to take your attention towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the most amazing thing about Allah. Allah doesn't require you to read salah to get His attention. Allah's attention is always there for you. His state is never changing. It's about you turning your attention towards Allah, thinking about Allah. When you constantly think about Allah, then be it dunya or anything else, it's all within your reach. Because why? When you have Allah, you have everything. Just recite out to Then we read, وَخَضَاعَ لَهَا كُلُّ شَيْءٍ وَذَلَّى لَهَا كُلُّ شَيْءٍ. And indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one towards which all things are humble, towards which all things are under His control, and before which every other thing becomes lowly in front of Allah. It becomes irrelevant in front of Allah. Be that me, be that you. The fact Allah even created me and you was out of His mercy. We were a thing that were not even known. Ask your parents when they were young, they never even thought of you. But Allah thought of you. Before even your parents were thought of, ask your grandparents if they are still alive. If they're not, may Allah give them a position in paradise. But even the grandparents who never have ever thought about your mom and dad until they reach an age where they will understand Him. Still Allah thought of you. Allah thinks of you before anyone ever thought of you. Allah loves you before anyone loved you. Allah subjugated you under His own laws, under Allah's protection, because Allah is the best of protectors. This is why Abu Abdullah doesn't go for the protection or security of Shimr, la'natullah alayhi, or even Yazid. Why? Because Allah's best and foremost protector is who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, Imam Sajjad al-Islam wrote many du'as. If anyone hated dunya, should be Imam Sajjad. Someone approaches Imam Sajjad and says, Ya Imam, you're always crying. Ya Imam, you're always crying. You know, Imam replies, he says, when Yaqub cried for Yusuf, he still knew that Yusuf was alive. But still out of want for him, he cried for him for so many years. I saw all of my brothers slaughtered in front of me and you don't want me to cry? This is Imam Sajjad. Imam Sajjad should hate dunya the most. Our fourth Imam is the one that sees the tribulations of Abu Abdullah. He's asked, what is the worst? It's not the beheading of Abu Abdullah. It's not the losing of Ali al-Akbar. He replies one word 3 times. Asham, Asham, Asham. Anyone hates dunya, it should be Imam Sajjad. True? We've not got... Dunya never betrayed you and me. Dunya never treated you and me bad. We treated the truth of Allah bad. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says with a loud salawat, he makes dua. He says, Oh Allah, give me more years of life to spend in your obedience, Ya Allah, and pray to you. He says that if this period is to be spent by me doing evil deeds, then hasten my death, make it come quickly, Ya Allah, so that I don't become liable to your retribution. If you had the saying of Abu Abdullah that said, death with honor is better than living with dishonor. You have the tafsir by Imam Sajjad who says that if your dunya is spent in ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, within ubudiyya, then that dunya is worth living. Otherwise, if it's not, then even Imam Sajjad himself doesn't want to live if it means sin or it means going away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the reason why you find all of the 11 Imams, apart from the 12th one, may Allah, inshallah, increase his life and even my life be sacrificed for him. But all of the 11 Imams and the A'imma, If it was not for them being shaheed, they had the secrets to live forever. If they were not shaheed, they had the secrets to live forever. Amir al-Mu'mineen Imam Ali alayhi salam with the loud salawat is asked, do you prefer the masjid or do you prefer the gardens of heaven? You prefer heaven, right? Heaven, you have everything there. He replies, he prefers to be in masjid. Wow, Amir al-Mu'mineen, give me an explanation. He says in heaven you do it because everything is apparent anyway. Within masjid, your niyyah is because you do it one of understanding. Because without everything being zahir to you, you still understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one that deserves worship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the central value of everything within your life. Is dunya bad? No. Dunya is not bad. It's the lens I look at the dunya with. Here's the thing. In Islam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, with the loud salawat, has advised us to be very careful of the upbringing of our children. Do you know when the upbringing of your children starts? The day you start looking for a proposal in marriage. A lot of us, when we look at marriage, again, dunya is bad, but we're looking within the dunya, then it's okay to look. When we look, then we become those people that don't look at the angle of dunya in the correct way. If we looked at it in the correct way, the first thing would never be about looking at attraction. The first thing would be about finding a partner that will take me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and bring my children on the path of Ahlul Bayt. Why? Because my first and foremost value is what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the correct approach. Nowadays, what do we have? We say person should be, she should be good, well qualified, good education, must be, the most beautiful woman on the planet. Everyone's going to say, you might get all of the mashallahs in the world, but deep down, if it's not marriage for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not a beneficial marriage. It's not a marriage of mufida, of a beneficial marriage. Ayatollah Khomeini, with the last salawat. Sayyid Ali Khamenei himself says something very interesting. He says when you get married for the sake of your imam. Have children for the sake of Imam Zaman. How can I have children, or how can I get married for the sake of Imam Zaman? That's not even in my conversation of marriage. It's a real thing. When parents talk with each other for an arranged marriage, how many of those parents talk about how close are we going to bring our children through this alliance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is the last conversation. In some conversations, this conversation doesn't even exist. It's a sad thing again. The lens of dunya is incorrect. Because when you have the lens of understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then the conversation even becomes different. Then you're able to find a wife by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That wife will also benefit you in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When he has a wife like Khadija, was there anyone more beneficial to be Khadija? Others were jealous of her after she passed away. That's how mufida Bibi Khadija was. Why? Because Rasulullah never looked at dunya value. Neither did she. If in today's society, imagine, so many of us, we're so honorable, we have so much karama according to us that we believe, we have so much kibr inside us, so much, arrogance inside us. Imagine a woman was to propose to a man in today's society, like Bibi Khadija proposed to Rasulullah. How dishonored would she be within the community? What kind of honor has this woman got? This is the sort of things we say to her. Again, why do we not look at it from the angle of her need to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When Bibi Khadija was looking at Rasulullah, she liked him for his trustworthiness. She liked him for his loyalty. She liked him for his good compassion, his behavior. Even the kuffar used to call him Amin, trustworthy. He had the title of Al-Amin. Dunya is not even bad. Even the enemies of Rasulullah are calling him Al-Amin. Here's an evidence as well for those people that like some masala. Let me give you some masala. When Holy Prophet does, when he does the hijr, he does migration. He migrates, where does he go? From Mecca to Medina. When he goes from Mecca to Medina, he leaves behind someone to pay back the debts of people. Why? The Holy Prophet is Al-Amin. Who does he leave? He doesn't leave any of the names that I think people would mention, of 1, 2, and 3, or even any more of them. But who does he leave in charge? He leaves in charge of Ali ibn Abi Talib. There's a masjid on the way. When they were done the migration, they built a masjid. Yeah? That masjid itself, did you know the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, stopped at that masjid? He wouldn't go forward in his journey. Why didn't he go forward in his journey? All of the companions said to him, Ya Rasulullah, move forward. Ya Rasulullah, move forward. He kept saying, no, no, no. They asked the reason why. Eventually, Ali ibn Abi Talib comes, and then the journey continues. Even Rasulullah is telling you in that moment, when you don't have Ali ibn Abi Talib, you can't even walk with Rasulullah. Because why? Rasulullah is the original package. That package needs to be unpacked using Amir al-Mu'mineen. That is Ali ibn Abi Talib. Imamat is the one that unpacks Risalat. With the last one. I want to leave you with a hadith, and then inshallah we can conclude and remember, inshallah, the person we're here to remember. Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam says, once a person came to him, he said, Yabna Rasulullah, I am a person that loves the world too much, and I must be a very evil person. Imam starts to look at him and he says, why? He says, I want to accumulate so much wealth so that I can my children and it can benefit my children, my lineage, and at the same time I can take my children and I can take my wife and myself to Hajj. Imam replies, this is not becoming worldly. This in reality is service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yani, if your mission is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that's your centric value, whatever you do in the dunya, if it's based around the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that doesn't become materialistic. That becomes something that is spiritually beneficial for us. Today we remember Janabe Ali Asghar. Often in many nights we give salutations upon Abu Abdullah. Join me today. Assalamu alayka ya Abu. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah. Assalamu Assalamu ala al-Husayn wa ala ibn al-Husayn wa ala awlad al-Husayn wa ala ashab al-Husayn. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, the Messiah. A time comes where there's no one left, where Abu Abdullah goes out. He comes out from the camps, he looks around. Ali al-Akbar is no more. The lookalike of Rasulullah has fallen. He looks around, Janab Qasim is no more. He looks around, there's no owner Muhammad. He looks on the battlefield on Karbala, there is Abbas lying. He sees on another place, there are the two arms of Abbas. And there's no one left for Abu Abdullah. Wa Husayna wa Madluma. Imam al-Hussein starts to get ready. He says to Zainab, he says, oh Zainab, bring me some old clothes. She brings old clothes. He switches them with his new ones. What does he do? He puts the new clothes underneath his clothes. Bibi Zainab asks why. He goes, before I go out for Shahada, maybe these people will take these away from my body. Maybe they'll leave the clothes, these old clothes, because they're not attractive. They're just old ragged clothes. Wa Husayna. Imam al-Hussein starts to meet Zainab. He gives Zainab a kiss on her wrist. Bibi Zainab asks, why are you kissing my wrist? Zainab, don't make Hussein cry. Husayna, how the words must have come out. Zainab, you are the one that will be marched from Karbala to Kufa, from Kufa to Sham. Your hand will be in chains, your neck will be in chains, your Zainab. A time comes where Imam al-Hussein starts to meet Sukaina, little Sukaina. He's meeting them in his eyes for the last time. As he meets them, he starts to caress Sukaina. Sukaina, according to some narrations, is as young as 3 years old. For those that have daughters, understand how Imam al-Hussein loves his daughter. Wow, Husayna! He starts to grab her, he hugs her close to his chest. He starts to kiss her on the cheeks. She says, Abata, what's happening? Is the time near? He goes, yes, the time is near soon. Abdullah means the women start crying, wow, Husayna, wow, Madluma, Abbas is no more, and the screams are louder, wow, Husayna, wow, Madluma. A time comes in Karbala where Abu Abdullah gets on his horse. You know there's a poetry. What does the poet say? He says Hussein is strong when on the left hand of his army is Ali al-Akbar. On the right hand is Abbas. Wow, Husayna. Now there's no Akbar and there's no Abbas. Wow, Mazluma. Wow, Husayna. Imam al-Hussein goes out towards the enemies one last time. He starts to look at them. He asks them, he looks at them, he says, Hal min nasaran yansurna. He says, is there anyone to help me? Is there anyone to defend Millati Rasulullah? Is there anyone that wants to defend the household of Rasulullah? Is there anyone that wants to earn Jannah and be quenched by Rasulullah? Oh, Husayna, no one answers. Bibi Zainab starts to wail and the women cry out loud. Abu Abdullah goes back to the camp. Jumped out of the cradle. Imam al-Hussein takes the little boy, the little 6-month-old. He takes him in his arms. He starts to look. He looks at Ali and al-Asghar. Oh, Asghar, oh, your tongue is so dry. I can't bear to see you like this. I wonder what conversation Imam al-Hussein had with him. According to one riwayah, how Mazlum is Abu Abdullah. Let me tell you, Ya Mu'mineen, and this is Abu Abdullah, and this is your master. A 6-month-old baby of Abu Abdullah is not left alone, and the enemies are looking, and they see Imam al-Hussein is holding the baby. As he starts to kiss the baby, Hurmana, according to one narration, shoots him then. Oh, Amaluma! It said that according to that narration, it severs the neck of Ali and al-Asghar and it attaches it to the arm. Another narration, which is more commonly known, it is said that when Abu Abdullah starts to look at Ali and al-Asghar, he can't take it anymore. He goes and he hides him under his abba. When he hides him under the abba, he goes on the horse. He goes towards the enemies. He goes and looks at them. He says, can't you see my children? Look at Ali and al-Asghar. If I am your enemy and I have done crime, what has my 6-month-old baby done to you? Can't you see? It is said according to that narration, and that Ali and al-Asghar starts to cry such a cry, and the enemy of Abu Abdullah, they start to weep. Oh, Asghar, what a soldier you are, and that you make the heartless cry in Karbala. Oh, Madluma. Umar ibn Sa'd starts to look around. He sees Hurmala. He says, oh, Hurmala, can you see? I want you to shut the tongue of Abu Abdullah. I want you to stop Abu Abdullah speaking. Hurmala starts to understand. He looks, he takes out a 3-point arrow. It's not a normal arrow. And these arrows are used to hunt elephants and camels. Oh, Mazluma. Oh, Husseina. I don't even think the arrow is as small as how small the neck of Ali and al-Asghar was. Oh, Asghar, a time comes when he shoots the arrow and it hits the neck of Ali and al-Asghar. Imam al-Hussein starts to look towards the camp and he starts to look at the baby. To read Imam al-Hussein has never been confused in Karbala, and now Imam Hussein becomes confused. What do I do? What do I tell Rubab? How do I go back and tell Zainab? Oh, Zainab, oh, Asghar, oh, Rubab. A time comes where Imam al-Hussein is confused. He starts to go back to the camp. He takes 7 steps. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He goes back. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He does this 7 times. Oh, Asghar, oh, Madluma. A time comes where eventually he takes him to the camp. He goes and gives him to Zainab. And baby Zainab takes him in the arms. He goes in the camp. And the women are in the camp. And there's no other man. You know what baby Zainab does? She starts to unveil her hair. She throws dust on her hair. Oh, wow, Husseina. Oh, wow, Madluma. Oh, wow, Rubuaba. Imam Hussein eventually takes the baby. As he takes the baby back, he sees at the back of the camp, at the back of the camp, he starts to take his sword. As he takes his sword, he starts to hit it on the ground of Karbala. Hits it once, hits it again and again and again. Eventually a little grave of Ali al-Askar is made. Oh, Asgara! Imam Hussein wanted to hide Ali al-Askar. These zalim are such enemies of Allah Abdullah. May Allah never let you lose your baby the way Imam Hussein lost his baby. May you never lose your young ones the way Abu Abdullah lost his young ones. Imam Hussein makes the grave, he puts Ali al-Askar inside, he puts him to sleep. Ali al-Askar is sleeping. Ali al-Askar, the sun goes upon Ali al-Askar. There was no water, remember? How does Imam Hussein solidify the grave? It is said Imam Hussein cries and cries and cries, and that eventually the tears fall on the ground and they solidify the grave. Oh, Asghar, oh, Mazluma. Abu Abdullah, the next part is hard for me. You try to protect Ali and al-Asghar after all of the heads are collected in Karbala. Allah turns around and says there's one head missing. Missing! And the head of Ali al-Asghar! And the head of Ali al-Asghar is missing. The Umar ibn Sa'd La'in, he orders the enemies to stand in a line. They all take a spear, and one by one they take one step, and they start digging in the ground. They dig, they move, they dig, they move. They dig, they move, they dig, they move. A time comes on one of the spears. It's the head of Ali al-Asghar. It is said that all the body of Ali al-Asghar comes, and the enemies they didn't want the whole body. And they start to take the body of Ali al-Asghar. Ali al-Asghar is inside his arms of the La'in, and the La'in takes out his dagger, and he cuts the head of Ali al-Asghar. A cry for Ali al-Asghar. You know his sister Sukaina cries for him, and she will